Hello and welcome back to another Farming Simulator 17 Giants Editor tutorial. And today I'm going to have a look at a new mix feeder pack placeable mod that's come out on the modDesc.net site. And got a couple of different ones here. If I just bring this up a bit bigger. We've got one for our pigs, which makes our pig feed, and then one for our cows, which makes a TMR for our cows. So we've got a bit of information on here. So it says basically that got two mix feed stations for the pig feed and also the I think there's actually a conveyor belt that comes with this. This is a placeable, as it says there, but again, as always with what I try to do with the mods, I'm going to be putting this into a map through Giants Editor, breaking down the placeable mod and then putting it into a map through Giants Editor. That's generally what I try to do. It works perfectly fine as a placeable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it as a placeable. But I just want to make a few adjustments to the map so it fits in a little bit better. I'll show you the map that I've chosen shortly. So very similar to my last video, if you watch that, the way that this all is structured and everything else, very similar setup using the script from Maru. And we've got Kevin K98 and Joker 301069, Farmer Andy, Caster, all these different people, and obviously Maru for the script involved in this particular mod. So yeah, this is again Maru.net, as you can see here. A few different pictures down here. I don't know. Some of these open on a really weird site, so I'm not going to open those up. Again, I'm not sure on this one because I'm already automatically signed in. You may need to be registered on the Maru.net site to download this. I can't remember, but it just signs me in automatically, so I can't remember on that. But again, with these mods, it's worth doing. You know, I think they are great. And as far as I know, this is the only place you can get it from. So worth doing anyway. But yeah, it's got some bits and pieces. So we've got works and guidance with the mini version, which is again video I made shortly a little while back with that one. So it's based around the same sort of thing, just slightly bigger sort of process. So we've got some bits and pieces. So we've got fill bunker. What's that? 100,000 litres straw silage and grass. I think that's 100,000. Yeah, it looks like 100,000. Got a price for $195,000. That's not going to be relevant because as I'm going to be showing how to put it into the map through Giants Editor, so the cost won't be a factor. So there's nothing there really. Production 20,000 litres per hour. Output bunker 150,000 litres. That's for the actual compound feed. Then we've got our pig station, pretty much the same. Oh, and it shows you what they basically take. So for the cow one, you will need straw silage and grass, and then in your pig feed one, you'll need cereals, which is wheat, barley, and corn. So wheat, barley, or corn. And then the proteins are rapeseed, soybean, or sunflower. And we've got potatoes and beets for our earth fruits. So these are the different things that you'll need to put into this particular one for your pig feed. And then again, got 100,000 litres. What's that for? Oh, so 100,000 litres in your cereals and your proteins and root crops. That's how much each bunker will take. And again, the price for the placeable version, but again, that's not going to be relevant because I'm going to be putting it into a Giants Editor. Production 20,000 litres an hour, output 150,000 litres for your actual pig feed. So there we go. So again, it is a placeable, but I'm going to break it down and then show you how to put it in through Giants Editor. So that's what we're going to do. I've chosen a different type of style map, one that I downloaded a little while ago, and a bit of a play around with. It's quite a nice little map, got some bits and pieces on it that I like in the small British maps, and this is quite a small one. You do start with all of the fields, you own all of the fields, and that's not going to, there we go, a bit better there. I think that's the pig area, and then you've got some other bits and pieces, cow area, I think this might be, can't remember. No, that's your main farm. But anyway, we'll get into that once we open it up in Giants Editor. Again, you do have to be registered to download this particular one from the Mike Modding NL site. It may be available to download elsewhere, not sure on that. But anyway, so got a few bits and pieces and whatever else. I'll let you have a look all through that and see what you can think about the map itself. But anyway, this is the map that I'm going to be working with to put the mod into, so I'll provide links in the description to all of these bits and pieces. So I've already gone ahead and opened the map in Giants Editor, and as you can see, Mike Modding and all these bits and pieces there. So we'll zoom out a little bit so we can actually see what's going on in the map here. Got our bits and pieces in the cinemagraph over this. We've got our animals. Not worry about the sheep or the chickens, just going to be looking at the pigs and the cows. So we've got our pigs over here. So that's fine, no problems there. I'm going to make a few changes here because I want to be able to put this particular item in and get enough room around it so I can maneuver and all the rest of it. So I'm going to move a couple of items, but nothing major. No massive great mods to the map itself, no massive great changes and whatever else. Then we come over to our cows, which are over here. And this is what we've got for our cows. And again, I'm going to make a couple of changes there. Again, nothing massive, just a little bit of tweaking to make everything fit. So I think what we'll do here is we'll start with the actual pig one first of all. So before I get going, what I need to do is copy the actual mod itself into the actual map here, the British farm style map, and I've got that on the desktop here. I've already extracted the download, and you get a couple of different bits and pieces in there. You have a lizard conveyor belt which comes with it with the placeable version, which I think has been adjusted from what I understand to work with this particular setup. I won't be using that. Then you've got the actual pack itself. If you actually open that into some sort of extract program, it shows you the two different setups. So you've got the one here for your cows and then the one here for your pigs. If you were using this as a placeable, then you would just put this one straight into your mod folder along with the conveyor belt and then buy them in game for whatever price they come out at. But I've extracted them so I can actually work with them with Giant Server. Again, I'm not going to worry about the actual conveyor belt, just going to be working with the actual mix feeder pack itself. So what I want to do here is copy this folder over into, sorry, not that folder, this folder over into the map that I'm going to be working with here. So what I need to do here is find a place. I'm just going to put it in the new folder. Makes it somewhat easy. So I'm just going to copy that across like so. I'm done with that, so I don't need to have that folder up anymore. I can now close that down. What I'm going to do now is right click and rename this. So I'm just going to call it mixer pack. There we go, that'll do. So it makes it a little bit shorter and easier to remember if I need to. Anyway, and pronounce for that matter. So I'm just going to open up the map again in Giant Server here. So come back into the Giant Server session. We'll click off that. Don't need that anymore. Okay, so I'm going to basically import the mod and then have a look to see what sort of room I've got in this area here, because I think it's probably beneficial to have it somewhere here than have it somewhere else on the map. If it was a bigger map, I might have it placed somewhere else and then actually do the mixing somewhere else and then deliver it to the pigs. But as it's a relatively smallish map and you're limited on space and all the rest of it, I figure why not just put it next to the actual animals it's intended for. You can work with that however you want to on the map that you're going to be playing with, if you so choose to do this. Otherwise, use the placeable version. As I say, perfectly good placeable mod, nothing wrong with it whatsoever as a placeable, so whichever you prefer. But this might be beneficial if you're creating a map, for example. Then you may wish to have this as something that's already on the map when it's you start a new game or whatever else, so it could be beneficial there. Okay, so I'm going to basically now go into my file, import, going to go back to my desktop here, just make sure I'm in the right folder, go into the British farm style folder here, map, new, and we're in our mixer pack folder here, so I'm going to open that up. Now, this is the one for the cows, and this is the one for our pigs, so I'm just going to double click on that one for our pigs. Going to leave them at the bottom of the cinemagraph because the animals are just there anyway. If they were somewhere up within here, I might cut and paste it somewhere else, but I'm just going to leave it here because there's not really much in the cinemagraph anyway, so there's no biggie there. So with that highlighted, edit interactive placement, I'm going to bring it over. So you can see it's not a massive great thing. It does take a little bit of space, but not a massive amount, so that's good. Gives me a bit of room to work with and whatever else. So I'm thinking that the best place really would be somewhere around here. It's not going to clutter up too much, but obviously we've got this little barn thing here, so I don't want that. So I'm just going to move that over out of the way. I'm going to click on the barn, And it's just a small open shed, don't want it, so I'm going to get rid of it. There we go. By hitting delete on my keyboard, and it's gone. So I'm going to now re-highlight the actual mix thingy here, the mixer mod, whatever you want to call it, mix station, and I'm going to just basically try and place it somewhere within here that I can work with. So I'm going to need to rotate it so that I can actually get to the bits and pieces, so we'll do that. Come over my attributes, change the rotation Y to 0 so it somewhat lines up with where I want it to be. Bring it back into place. I think that looks okay. Not going to spend too much time actually messing around too much in the map, getting it in and out. Just as long as it's on the map and it's going to work, then that's fine for the video, and then you can play around with the finessing of it and whatever else later on in your own map or whatever map you may choose to edit or whatever else. So let's get it somewhere. Don't want it too high, don't want it too low. Somewhere like that, I think looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that'll do. Okay, so we've got a few bits and pieces here that I might need to adjust with the tyres that were actually lent up against the building there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to actually highlight these, and I'm going to delete these ones, and I'm going to highlight this bottom one here, just so I can bring in a couple maybe along the bottom here, and this will be easier to just make duplicates of these and perhaps just drag them along like so. Excuse me, I'm just going to have to cough a minute. That's better. Okay. So now that I've got that there like so, what do I say, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but these little things bother me, so I have to play around with them. So the next thing I want to do here is obviously have some sort of access into this area so I can actually collect my forage and whatever else that's created, in this case obviously the pig feed. So we've got something there in the way, the actual slurry pit here, so I'm going to need to move that. So I'm just going to highlight something there to bring it up in the cinnagraph, and then I think what I'm going to do is actually move that. I'm going to put it somewhere over here. I think that'll probably be better. So I'm just going to edit interactive placement, bring it over here somewhere. That'll be fine. Not too bothered about it too much. Just lower it down just a tad, I think. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to have to obviously play around there a little bit just to get rid of some bits and pieces. So what I'll do here is just go into my train editing. I'm going to come down to my grass, choose my train forage paint mode, and just give it a bit of grass there. Like so. And then what I need to do is actually change the terrain underneath slightly, because it's a little bit, I can't see the slurry underneath, all I can see is the grass. You could potentially change that to dirt if you so choose to give the impression or the illusion that it's slurry, but there is actually slurry under there, so I'm going to change that. So what I need to do here is obviously find what the height of the ground is here, which is I think 90 anyway. So I'm just going to change that to 88. Let's try that. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose my replace tool and just go over that a little bit like so, just so I can see the slurry poking through like so. Perfect. So done. Then what I need to do is obviously change some bits over here, because the same was done there to give the same representation of what I've just done over there. So what I need to do is change this back to 90, because that's the ground height that I want to actually have here. Go back into my train sculpt mode with my replace still selected, and I can just bring this back up to a level point like so. Excellent. So now what I need to do is change this a little bit, because I want the grass there. So I'm going to choose my terrain forage paint mode, make sure I'm on grass, which I am, and just remove a little bit of grass in this area like so, just to give me some sort of access into this area. Then I'm going to change over to my train detail texture paint mode. I'm on ref dirt, but I don't want that. What I want is concrete, so it matches in with everything else here, like so. And what I think I'll do here is just break that up a little bit. So I'm just going to choose pig mud, perhaps, maybe, and just put a little bit down in this area. There we go. Again, you can play around with that to your heart's content and get it somewhat how you want it to be, but I think that should be fine for now. And then what I need to do is just have a look at bits and pieces that make up this particular mod and join everything together. So I'm going to close that down again, the train editing, go back into window, user attributes. I can now go back into my actual mix feeder mod here. I need to open this up and have a look at some bits and pieces in here just to get everything joined up. Now we've got some input triggers and output triggers. So if I just show you what we've got in there, input triggers. So we have input trigger 1, which is wheat, barley and maize. Then we have number 2, our input trigger 2, rape, sunflower and soybean. Then we have number 3, which is our potatoes and sugar beets. Excellent. So we can work with that, that's no problem at all. So we know what we need to put in each one of these to get it all working, and it's not all of those, just one of them. So you either put wheat, barley or maize, rape, sunflower or soybean, and then potatoes or sugar beets, not all of it. I'm sure you know that already. And then our output trigger obviously is our pig food, so excellent. So we've got our work animations, and what I need to do in here is obviously have a look at some bits and pieces in here. So we've got our sound files, and these are already set up for us. If we look over on our attributes, we can actually look at our sound files and see that they are all set up, no problem. And you can just check those if you so choose to, but they will be fine. No animations or anything like that, so that's fine. But one thing we do need to play around with is our particle systems. Exactly the same as the MixStation Mini that I showed in the last video that I did. We need to change some path file names here so that it points in the right place for our particle systems. So we need to find out where they are. So if we go back into our mixer pack here, we've got a folder called PS. So what I'm going to do is just bring that up. I'm going to bring down my giant editor session here so I can see the actual path file name here. I need to just basically adjust that in here. So we need to type this in. So we've got maps, new, taking note that this is actually a capital N, and it will be important that you put that in, otherwise it will cause errors in your console for case sensitive errors, because it will be looking for a folder that's got the wrong lower or uppercase letters. So make sure if you've got such a path file name and it has upper and lowercase lettering, then make sure you follow suit. So we've now got mixer pack, and the rest of it's done for us, the PS, and then so on and so on and so on. For our pig feed, forage, whatever. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically come down to the PS, because that will be the same in each of the path file names. I'm going to highlight all that and copy it. Then I can just come down to the next ones and just paste it in without having to retype it each time. Excellent. So we'll just work through all of those and get that on and done. Excellent. Moving on. So now I can shut all that down. I'm done in there. Don't need to play around with that anymore. There's nothing else there that needs to be adjusted. So we're good. So what I'm going to do now is basically move on to the cow one, the actual mix feeder for our cows. I'll just get them all done in one sort of go, really. So I'm thinking that looking at where we are now, I'm thinking that perhaps maybe this area here would be beneficial. We've got a sort of barn, shed, whatever, which, you know, that's fine and everything, but I think that that would probably be a better option. You could perhaps maybe put it over here, but I think if it's over here, it's not going to be quite so restrictive on space and whatever else, remembering that you have to bring in various different products to put in there. If you're going to perhaps maybe be working with bales, I think maybe out here would be a better option. So I'm going to go for that anyway. Again, this will be different, obviously, if you're using a different map, so you'll have to just work with whatever you've got, but I think I'm going to go with that. One thing to note on this particular map, it does actually have a tip trigger here for your unloading on the main farm for your grains, so we can't cover that up otherwise we won't be able to fill our grains into our silos. So I'm just going to basically click on this GB House 2 here, this barn, shed, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to again hit delete on the keyboard and get rid of it. Done. So now what I need to do is obviously bring in my next part, the actual mix feeder itself. So again, I'm going to go File, Import. I'm going to go back to my desktop, make sure I'm in the right folder here, and then into New, Mixer Pack, and this one here, the Mix Footer, is for our cows, so we need to bring that one in. Again, I'm going to go Edit, Interactive Placement, bring it up on the map. Now this one is actually already rotated the right way, so we don't need to worry about that too much. So I'm just going to align it here somewhat to the actual edge of the shed here, forgot what it's called already, doesn't matter, silo sort of barn setup here. That will be perfect there, I think. And we'll just try to adjust the actual height of it somewhat so it then blends in as best we can. Unfortunately, the gizmo can be a little bit fierce in its operation, so you may need to work with the actual attributes here to get it to exactly where you want it to be, but I think that that will work okay. It's a little bit too low because you can see the ground textures sort of blending in a little bit and coming through. What I want to do here, I think, is just go a little bit higher. Perfect, that will do fine. Gives me access to everything and it's not all blending through and whatever else. Again, you will need to work with that to get it exactly how you want it, but that's fine for now at least. It can be adjusted later on if we should choose to do so. Okay, so now that I've got that one in there, again what I need to do is have a look inside and see what we've got in our actual inputs and outputs and whatever else. So we've got our inputs again. Input 1 is straw, input 2 is silage, input 3 grass windrow. Exactly the same setup as the MixStation Mini. This is just a slightly bigger version. Output trigger, we have our forage, excellent, and our bits and pieces will show up accordingly. So we can work down and come back into our work animations again for this one, and we need to change those path file names to what we had previously for our other one. Now the great thing about this, all of the actual particle systems in this particular pack, because they come together, they're in exactly the same folder as the others. So if it's still set up, I can just come into here and paste it in, no problem, because I've already got it in my clipboard saved, so it will just paste in without me having to do anything there. So I can just come through and paste all these in now. And we're done. Okay, so we've got all our bits and pieces now within the actual map itself. Pretty straightforward, easy setup. We've got our pig forage thingy over here for our pig feed. Made a few bits and pieces changed wise to the map itself. Just a bit of a rush sort of job, but you know, you'll get the idea, I'm sure. And then we've just come over, made a couple of changes to the area over here. Just deleted a barn, shed, whatever you call it. Plunked it on the map, made a few adjustments to the particle systems for both, and whatever else. So we're done now with the map itself. Everything there is set up accordingly. No further changes required. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and save. I'm going to grab a drink. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so now that we've saved that, I can close this down. Don't need that open anymore. And what I'm going to do now is go back into the actual British Farm style map itself, the folder I mean. And I'm going to open up the mod desk. Then what I'm going to do is go into the actual mod itself that we've just imported. So go back into the mixer pack. We've got our fabric script here. I don't want to put it in that folder because it makes the path file name too long for my liking when I have to adjust the actual bits and pieces in the mod desk. So I'm going to highlight it, Control X to cut it, come back into maps, and there's a folder here called script, which already has script in it, so that's fine. I'm going to paste it in there, done. Go back into the actual mixer pack, the actual mod itself. I'm going to bring up the actual mod desk for that, which will have the parts that I need to copy over and make sure that it displays everything correctly. Just want to point out some bits. Again, this is actually a placeable mod that I'm breaking down to be imported into the map through Giant Editor. There's a couple of XMLs. These are not relevant if you're going to be working with Giant Editor. They are only there for the placeable part of the mod itself, as it says here. So you don't need to worry about those when you're working with Giant Editor. Everything else will link up from the i3D and whatever else. All you need to do is just make a few adjustments within the actual modDesc, so that I say all the bits and pieces are displayed on screen correctly in game. So these bits and pieces I keep talking about here are the actual L10N sections, the text that will be used for the mod itself, and the text that we will see on screen in game. So what I need to do is basically copy all of these sections from here to here, from the mod itself, the modDesc that's associated with the mixer pack or the mod itself. So I'm going to highlight all of those, Control C to copy, come back into the modDesc for the actual British farm style map itself. I'm going to go into the L10N sections here, create a couple of lines, paste it in. Done. Nice and simple. I'm going to come back over and we've got our extra source files. Now again, this is a map that has extra source files on it. For the animal pedestrian, there's a cat that runs around on your farm, which I'll show you in game if it actually happens to be in the right place at the right time, which is quite good. A bit of a nice little mod. It's something that I did see in a couple of maps near the end of FarmSim. I said near the end of FarmSim 15, near the end of, or just before FarmSim 17 come out. I did sort of see a couple of maps with this on it, with dogs and cats and things like that. So it's quite a nice little mod, and it's been brought over to FarmSim 17, so that's really nice. So we've got a couple of RA script, so we've got our extra source files already in there, but if you didn't have that, then you would need to copy the whole lot. So basically you would highlight the extra source files tags and the source file name itself, copy the whole lot. Because I have already got a script on this particular map, the only part I need is the source file itself and the file name and the path file name to that script, which I will need to adjust slightly. So I'm going to copy that line, come back over to the modDesc for the map itself, create a new line, paste it in. Now if we actually look to see where I put the script, I put it in this particular folder here. Luckily the actual script that's already on the map has that same path file name, so all I need to do there is just basically copy it, paste it, and we're done. So I can just go ahead and save that now. So I can close that down. I can close down the modDesc for the actual mod itself, close down Notepad++, we're done. So that's it. It's all in the map, all set up, particle systems pointing in the right place. Very small adjustment to the map itself, which is why I chose this particular map, because it's got everything structured exactly how I wanted it for this particular mod, and to do things in somewhat of a fashion that will speed things along somewhat and get it all working relatively quickly. So what I'm going to do now is just basically rezip all this up, put it in my mods folder, or get into game and get a few bits and pieces up together, and I'll show you it all working in game and what you can expect to get from it and all the rest of it and how it looks in game. So I will see you shortly when we're in game. Okay, so here we are in game now, and as you can see, this is the one for the cows. All the crunchers, the blades are all going round and round. We have our display showing how much is in here. So we have our grass, our silage, and our straw. I've obviously gone ahead and already collected this up together and put it in the mod. Just trying to sort of save a bit of time here and get things moving along. And then we have our, well, eventually once we get some, we have our actual TMR or forage or whatever you want to call it for our cows. We have our info panel, so with the F1 menu up, you can come over, you can see we've got our straw, silage and grass, and we are actually creating our forage, which is at 0%. So I haven't got a great deal in there at the moment, but that's fine, it is working. So excellent. I haven't seen the cat just yet, but I'm sure he's around here somewhere. Might come back to that later if he decides to show his head. We'll come back to that maybe. It's quite funny actually watching him on the map, but I just want to skip over now to the next one we have here, which is our forager or mixer or whatever you want to call this for the pigs. I haven't actually bought any pigs or cows or anything like that at the moment. I just really want to show you the actual mods themselves. You can play around with all the rest of it and get all that sorted out. So we have all of our particle animations, if I can actually get up here. So we have our, in this case I've put sugar beets in, but it shows up as potatoes, and that's fine, I don't really mind that. And all the particle animations we set up in Giant Search are all working. Again, we have our displays. So in this case it shows potatoes, but it does take sugar beets as well. So that's all showing up there. We have our shows sunflowers, but I think I put canola in there or rape, but that's fine, whatever. And again down here, I think, what was this one? What was that one? So we had potatoes or whatever, and then this might have been rape. Yeah, I think that one was rape. That's sunflowers or soybeans maybe. Anyway, in short, at the beginning of the video I did actually say what each one of these took. I just can't remember now, because if you actually come round and look in the F1 menu here, it actually says earth fruit cereals and proteins. So I think it was what I actually put in there, I believe, was sugar beets, wheat and canola. I'm pretty sure that's what I put in each one. So that one would probably have been wheat, that one would have been canola, and that one would have been sugar beets. I can't remember, but anyway, you'll get the idea of it. I'm sure it tells you on the website anyway, which I can't bring up at the moment, but and I'm pretty sure I did actually mention at the beginning of the video what they do actually take, but it's relatively straightforward. So yeah, they're all working. Got all your bits and pieces. We are actually getting some forage now, so that's fine. I'll try and come back to the other one. Got several different vehicles. There we go, there's the cat. I knew he was around here somewhere. So yeah, and we are getting some forage now. Yeah, so they are working. They are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Again, as I said earlier on in the video, these are intended to be placeable mods, but again, as always, like I tried to do, I've broken them down and then put them into the map with using Giant Editor and whatever else. So I think this is somewhat perhaps maybe beneficial if you're creating a map and you'd like to start off with this in the map, so you don't actually have to purchase it or anything else. It's just there at the beginning. This may help you out, and I think this particular version is quite nice. The other version, the mini, for what I needed on that particular video, it was ideal because I wanted to put it in a specific place inside a sort of shed area, and that was ideal. This one is, I wanted to have it a bit more in an open area, so that's what I went with. But yeah, Mario.net again, and they have these for download, plus you do get, like I said, don't know if I've actually got it in here, but let's have a look. This one I think it might be. Can't remember now. It's definitely a lizard. I think it's that one, but it's been modded, and it takes a bit more, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it is there. I'm pretty sure that's the one that comes with the pack. Don't know. They look like they take exactly the same actually, but oh, I see. That one doesn't show up anything in there at all, whereas this one actually shows that it holds 20,000 litres. Not sure on that. Again, you'll have to play around with that because it's not something I've messed with. But yeah, not really that interested in that because I would just use either a wheel loader or something like that to collect it, which is always a possibility anyway. But yeah, so there we go. All in the map, all working. Particle systems all showing up. So great. I'm going to finish it there. Thanks again for watching. Hope this was of some help to you, and I will catch you on the next one.